Yesterday morning early, I was going for a run, and just as I was getting to the park, there were all these geese like in my way. And I was running up to them, and all of a sudden they all started honking, and they all took flight in different directions, and that had never happened before. And I thought, well, that's how I'm feeling about this talk versus scattered, retreat, talk, retreat, talk, like I'm all over the place. So what do? I don't have enough information on Mary Magdalene. I go to my bookshelf when I got home and took out another book. And I took out a book that I didn't remember getting. Anybody ever do? I've never opened it. I've never read it. It's a 52-week guide. I don't even know why I pulled that one off the shelf. It's not like it was about Mary Magdalene or anything. It was a 52-week guide by Anthony DeMello. He's a Jesuit priest. He died in 1987. And I opened to the first section, the first week, and he says there's something that he just became aware of that could have changed his life had he known it earlier. And he said, this thing is super simple. Anybody can do it. It's in the scriptures. I've never paid any attention to it. And what the heck if I'd have just done this? And it was listen. He said, and listen. We all can listen, but we all don't listen without fixed concepts, without fixed biases and prejudices, without judgment. We listen and we hear what we think we need to hear, what we want to hear, or maybe something we don't like hearing, and we judge it. And he said, so the invitation is to listen not with your ears, but listen with your inner knowing. Listen with a inner ear, if you will. Listen with that part of yourself for the inner meaning of what's being said. And he said, listening does not mean swallowing. So things that you hear doesn't mean you have to take them as truth. But we should listen. Listen to one another. Listen to things that are coming at us, the things that are right in front of us. Listen. But not necessarily swallow. Question everything. It's a skill to listen deeply. It's a skill to not judge when you're listening. It's a skill to just hold the space. We have 2 people in our community who have taken an intense course, 2-year course, on becoming a spiritual director. They took the course through Unity Worldwide Spiritual Institute. It's a certification program, and they graduated last month in June. And I just want to give a shout out to Brooke Lindquist and Deb Usry. Will you guys stand? Yeah. Beautiful that we have a couple spiritual directors in our midst, and their job as spiritual directors, if you decide to engage them, is to listen, to be present, to ask questions to help you come up with your own answers, never to give the answers, because we all have our own answers within. We all have our own knowing within if we're open to it. And so you can talk to Deb or Brooke more about after the service about what they're doing. We're working on something next month, so stay tuned. Stay tuned. So this concept of listening is in the scriptures, in our Christian scriptures, where Jesus says, for those who have ears to hear, listen. He says it several times. He also says it twice in the Gospel according to Mary. Now, we'll get into that, but Mary Magdalene's feast day is on Tuesday, the 22nd of July. And she is a woman that lived in the time of Jesus. She was one of his followers. And her voice, her presence, her true story was buried for thousands of years. And so I've had this fascination with her for my whole life because my mom's middle name is Magdalene. And my mom always questioned why her parents gave her a middle name that was a sinner. Because that's what the church believed and told her. Mary Magdalene was a sinner, a prostitute, and my mom had a real hard time with it that she got that middle name, Magdalene. So I've always been fascinated with Mary Magdalene and always felt something was off about what we were told about her. Something's off about this. I mean, she walked with Jesus. She was one of his followers. And it's interesting because in the scriptures, there is nothing that says she was a prostitute. Nothing that says she was a sinner. Nothing that says that she was this person that Pope Gregory in the year 591 AD said she was. In 591 AD, he put Mary Magdalene to bed, so to speak, buried her voice, stopped any women from being leaders in the church, and did a big disservice to our society, I believe, by burying the divine feminine with her. She was not that. She was a follower. She was a close follower of Jesus. And some of the Gnostic Gospels that have come out since 1945, and with the Nag Hammadi scriptures, there's 52 of them, they collaborate that she was a close follower of Jesus. She is considered the apostle to the apostles by the Orthodox Church. Because she was there at the crucifixion, she was there at the burial, and she was there at the resurrection. And she's named in our current Christian scriptures as being there for those three things. She was somebody who had a close relationship with Jesus. Now, there's a whole bunch of speculation about her. Maybe she was married to Jesus. Maybe she was. There's no proof. There's no proof she wasn't. There's no proof she was. But that does not, whether she was or she wasn't, even if she was, that does not take anything away from her teachings. Her teachings stand on their own because she walked the talk. She did the work. She has a gospel. Now remember, all of the gospels were oral stories for years before they were written down. So her gospel is said to be dated back to the 2nd century. Somebody wrote it down at some point. There's more than one of her fragments of her gospel that has been found. The first one was found in the late 1800s, and it was fragments. And then for a lot of different reasons, things happened. It didn't even become translated until the 1950s. So it gets confused with the other Gnostic Gospels that were found at Nag Hammadi in a cave in Egypt. This also was found in a cave in Egypt. But they get confused that they were all found at the same time, and they weren't. Mary's Gospel was found in the 1800s. And so her Gospel is a dialogue. It's very short. There's only 19 pages, and 10 of them are missing. And her gospel talks about how we can evolve our souls, how we can step into who we are, who we came to be. And Peter asks her to tell them what they hadn't learned from Jesus. They knew that she had other teachings. It's fascinating to me, this whole idea of her she's the only female that has her own gospel. And we could spend years on this. And it's really, like I was saying, about the geese and scattered, and like, which pieces do I want to pick out? There's so much. But she brings us the divine feminine back. Like, its time has come. Her voice has been buried long enough. The divine feminine has been buried with her long enough. And what happens when our voice is buried? When we don't use our voice, we have to rework those muscles. We have to rework them to get the sound out, to get the message out. And so we're in the process of this now. Her gospel only became widely available in the last 20 years. And so it takes time. Her feast day, it's funny, her feast day is Tuesday. And in 1969, the Catholic Church said, oh, we got it wrong. She wasn't a prostitute. Now, after hundreds of years of being saying that she was, it's hard to change people's minds. So it wasn't until 2016 that she got a feast day, because they wanted to bring her on par with the other apostles, with the other male apostles. It's about time, right? Yeah. She was a leader, and the teachings of Jesus were like this the whole first 350 years or so. That there were women leaders, and it was more complete, it was more full, it was more about love. It had so much more to it than the Christian teachings that most of us grew up with. Cynthia Bourgeault wrote The Meaning of Mary Magdalene, and she says this. I took a class by her, by the way, last fall through Richard Rohr's organization, CAC. She says this: Mary Magdalene is there to help us repot Christianity in a container which is vast enough and forgiving enough and supple enough to actually, a little bit more closely, match the actual lay of the land of the heart. Repot Christianity. Give it room to grow. It's only come so far being just a patriarchal with male leaders, and nothing against the male leaders, but we need both. Yes. We need the feminine with the masculine. Every man, you need your feminine and your masculine, just as the women need their masculine too. Yeah. We need this. We need this. And so, when we don't have it, what happens? What happens? We have gender inequality. We have environmental neglect. We have disconnect, spiritual and psychological disconnect. And we have a fragmentation of the divine, because the divine is all of it. And in Mary's gospel, she stresses and talks about anthropos, that we came here and Jesus taught them how to be the true human beings. True human beings are spiritual human beings, are fully human, fully divine. And in our staff retreat we had last week at Unity Village, they talked about 100% human and 100% divine, and the math doesn't work. And I know this. But we are 100% human. We don't want to discount any of our humanness. We want to love it. And we're 100% divine, and we don't want to discount any of our divinity. We need that. And so we're fully human, fully divine. Fully human. But we don't really get that part. That divine part. We don't think we're worthy. We don't think we're good enough. We don't think we have what we need to really embrace it all. Megan Watterson, who wrote Mary Magdalene Revealed, says this: If we're caught up in trying to prove or earn or show that we're worthy of love, we're missing out on the actual presence of it. In the Gospel of Thomas, Christ says, if you bring forth what is within you will save you. I think this is what was hidden that Mary revealed, that love is within us. We are love, and we don't have to earn or prove or deserve this fact. And if we can recognize that we've never been separate from it and bring it forth outside of us, this is what saves us. Or at least for a moment, and then we go back to being Peter and questioning what we deserve. Now, in Mary's gospel, Peter asked Mary to tell them, what did the Savior teach you? They call him, in this translation, this particular, what did the Savior teach you? And she teaches them, and then Peter says, I don't believe you. What a betrayal. I don't believe you. I don't believe that he would have told you this, and a mere woman. There was so much shaming around that, around women. They were second-class citizens in this time, not the leaders that they deserved to be, or in Mary Magdalene's case, really earned the right to be, because she did the work and she got the teachings more than the other male apostles did. Let's go another quote from Megan Watterson. What we hear without let's wait on that. Sorry. Megan, in her book, Mary Magdalene Revealed, and I took a retreat with her last year at the Omega Center, which was amazing. I love this book. There's a couple in the bookstore. Anyway, she has a chapter where she's talking about one of the egoic powers. Mary mentions in her gospel that there are 7 egoic powers that we find ourselves in. Another translation is not power, it's climate. So the atmosphere around us, what do we find ourselves in? What humanness do we find ourselves in? And Mary talks about, in her gospels, there's 7 of them. Not that we need to release or transcend or get rid of, because they're part of our humanness. We just want to love them. We want to recognize them. We don't want to get stuck in them. So Megan Watterson, in one of the powers that she's talking about, talks about a time when she was teaching a class in England, and she went on a double date that night, and the 4 of them went to a cistern and decided to go skinny dipping in the White Springs. And she said as she was taking off her clothes, only a spiritual teacher would talk about this. As she's taking off her clothes, she's thinking about all the things we wear, all the identities we wear, all the stuff that we wear. And the goal is to really get naked to our true self, to remove those things that stand in the way of us being our full potential. But a lot of times we don't want to do that, and so now I'll go to this quote. What we wear without realizing it is the ego. It's the stories we've covered ourselves with, or the stories we have used to obscure the truth of who we really are. And the ego is so well-meaning. The ego built up all these layers of why we should be afraid of who we are, or why we should feel shame about who we have been. Can anybody relate to that? So last week we're at Unity Village, staff. There were 6 of us. We were so grateful to be there for a staff retreat. And the retreat was actually led by Linda Martella-Whitsett and Deanne Morency, and it was Discover Your Divinity Retreat. Oh, and Deb was there too, so there were 7 of us. Sorry, Deb, 7 of us. And we got an exercise where we had to do a body map. And if you've ever done it, they have these long sheets of white paper, and then you have a partner. Anne was my partner, and we had to trace each other's body on the paper. And so then we traced each other's body, and then she says, okay, now you're on your own. Now it's just a solo project. Color it in. Whatever you want to do with your body image, you could do. And I sat there and got an optical migraine and started seeing flashing lights. And when I get these, they start small and then keep spiraling until I really can't see anything at all. I'm just seeing flashing lights. And the meaning I give that often when these happen is that there's something I'm not seeing. Something I'm not seeing. And so as I was trying to color in my body map, I realized that I have so much body shame, body image shame, that I've had my whole life, that I had people who told me when I was a child things about my body. And as a child, I took them in as truth. And when we do that, especially as a child, it gets into our subconscious and it changes how we show up. It changes how we present ourselves. It changes how we dress. It changes how we engage. And I was sitting there with these lights and thinking about all this and realizing that this body image that I've had for most of my life is time to go. It's time to let it go. And I've been getting pointed to these body image things a lot lately in different parts of my life. And as my body's getting older and we aging, it's hard to finally say, hey, I can appreciate this body. One of the egoic powers in Mary's gospel is about the body, about how we don't respect it, how we don't love it, how we don't embrace our humanity, embrace our vulnerability, how we just push all that aside, and we're missing out on a big part of who we are because we are spiritual human beings. We're human, 100%. And that means loving and appreciating whatever earth suit you showed up in. Whatever. It's a big shift for me. And I love this. And then Megan Watterson, I read this. Every time the ego tries to dress you again in an old story of what you're capable of, or of the victim you once were, or what you need to be afraid of, or why you need to remain small, just take it off. Strip, skinny dip, repeat. Yeah. Strip, skinny dip, repeat. Get naked. Get naked. She talks about a love in her gospel, kenosis, which means to empty the self, to empty the small self so that the big self can shine. Empty the self. It's kind of love that we want to keep practicing, and we need, in our humanness and in our world, we need to keep practicing it. Empty yourself of those things that stand in your way, that don't serve you. There's so much there. And so then I'm taking a class called Quantum Vitality right now, which is a lot about the body and a lot about the emotions and a lot about how our cells, every cell in our body has an intelligence. And every cell in our body remembers. And so we want to be feeding it good stuff, good thoughts, good beliefs. He said spiritual bypassing goes right to the subconscious. We need to fully acknowledge our humanness and not just push. Whenever we have something we don't like, just push it aside. It goes right to the subconscious, and the subconscious is always working, always, in the background, just like it did with my body image stuff. There's a science called epigenetics, which is that we're not just passive about our own DNA, that our beliefs, our emotions, our reactivity, can all change how our DNA unfolds. It's fascinating. Bruce Lipton says this: the moment you change your perception is the moment you rewrite the chemistry of your body. We're that powerful. We have all this capability within us. And Mary's gospel, what a great time to have it keep coming back up. Let's use this new information, the divine feminine's time has come, past time has come. But we can change these behaviors. We can change them. How? First, by being aware. Just be aware. With that listening heart, what is within? What is it saying to us? Be aware. Say no to it. When you have a behavior or something's showing up that you don't like, say no. No, stop, no. We can do that. And then replace it with something we do want, a behavior we do want. We all have already established premises. So when we become aware of them and they're not working for us or not serving us anymore, it's an opportunity to change those. To love only love. Dr. James is the teacher of the vitality class I'm taking, and who doesn't want to feel more vitality in their lives, right? In our emotions and in our bodies. I forgot what I was going to say about James. Oh well. Forgive me, James. We have this ability to love only. Love only. Whatever's showing up for you. James Mellon says that this is part of his mission statement at his church in California. Love only. Contemplate that. Focus on that. What is coming up in your life? What circumstance are you challenged with loving? What's showing up for you? Love only. So I want to challenge you for this week. Anything that comes up, if you find yourself reacting negatively, love only. How can you bring love to this circumstance, to this situation, to this person that's triggering me? We're invited to constantly step up and step into being the person we were created to be here on earth, in this body, in this human form. Be all you can be. Be your divine human full self. And there was one woman at the staff retreat who just kept doing this. And we would all do that. And that's what, it's a V, vitality. But that's not why she did it. I don't remember why she did it, but we were all doing it all the time because we're like, yes, say yes, yes to life, yes to who we are. And bring Mary's gospel in with you. We're going to be, the women's retreat, we're going to be focusing on 4 of the 7 egoic powers. We're going to be focusing on the gospel, so I hope you'll join us. But, okay, thank you. Namaste.